booed at the Republican National Convention for declaring something along the lines of you supported government that stays out of your pocketbook and out of your bedroom. You mentioned that as well in your message to delegates and about being a fan of some libertarian writings. Just generally, I think it'd be good to end on the note of how does libertarian philosophy influence your approach?
Well, I mean, it influences from the beginning of every morning to the end of every afternoon. I mean, my mottos in public life were not only, I want the government out of your pocketbook and out of your bedroom, but even more fundamentally, there's no such thing as government money. There's only taxpayers' money. And this is an issue on the Democratic side of the aisle. Those folks think that there's government money and that they're entitled to it, or many of them do. And that's just a fundamental misapprehension of the proper size and role of government. And people ask me over the years, how come you're a Republican? Because you're such a, so inclusive on social issues, and that's not what the Republicans do. I say, yeah, no, I get that. I don't like that on the Republican side, but it amounts to size and role of government. And size and role of government has been my bedrock issue my entire life. And it feeds into what I was saying a little bit earlier about approaching the expenditure of public funds every year with zero-based budgeting, assuming the expenditure is zero. So every expenditure of funds has to compete on its own two legs without any following wind from last year. The best law professors tear up their notes at the end of every year so they're not just reading them to the next class. And it's the same with budgeting. More fundamentally, and those who know that I'm a Friedrich Hayek fanatic will know my views of taxation. Now, Proudhon, who is a French anarchist, said that property is theft. That's an anarchist for you. And I said throughout my governorships, taxation is theft. Taxation is coercion. It's taking stuff away from people that belongs to them, and in that sense, it's theft. Just as Proudhon is saying that private property is theft away from the public ownership of everything, which is the way he wanted it because he was an anarchist. But I think you got to keep those things top of mind. That's on the economic side. On the social liberty side, I return to my invocation of Professor Louis Hartz, who said the essence of democracy is the idea that the individual must not be thrust in a corner. Think about the stuff you've heard this year, mainly on the Republican side of the aisle, and think how much of it is violative of that principle that the individual must not be thrust in a corner. And think of it how much is violative of the idea that the individual should not be thrust in a corner because of his membership in a group. So I think it's ugly stuff. On the downside, it's ugly stuff, but on keeping it inspiring you all day long, it's a great lodestar.
That's great. Thank you very much